Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons. I'm the host of the Inspirational Businesswomen Show, which we just finished broadcasting live over on Hangouts on Air. And for those of you who are getting here to join us for the Q&A session, we appreciate it. And you might go out and tweet it to other people and let them know about my special guest, Lisa Knowles. She is a dentist. She is a consultant, an author, and a writer. She has really taken her plan A of dentistry because she had her own practice, and now she does that part-time while she helps educate others. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. I just want to give you a little overview. If you're new and have not seen the broadcast, let me just go through again what we were talking about over on the Hangout on Air a few minutes ago. The topic was how to ask for what you want and get the results you're looking for. We had 3 hot topics. We had the topic of learning to communicate your desires intentionally. Lisa had a wonderful story for us about that. We also talked about how to ask the right questions so that you gain respect. We had a little conversation about that because that's an issue for not only women, but for all sorts of people. And you just want to come across in a way that does gain respect without the negatives that might come across as well. And then she was giving us some top strategies to get what you want in life and business. And I know she has a few more of those for us. So Lisa, let me just come back over here to the other screen so people can see me rather than the broadcast panel. And let's talk a little bit deeper about a couple of these topics. And I do have some open seats, and anyone who would like to join us and say hi or ask your questions, feel free to call in, and when we get a break, I'll bring you in so you can ask your questions. So Lisa, let's just sort of do a roundup of some of the key points that you were making today about how to ask for what you want to get results. What do you think are some of the most key points you want people to know about?
Well, as I talked about a little bit before, I think one of the key points is not worrying about what other people think and these cultured norms that a lot of girls in particular have fallen into, and boys oppositely, that the boys need to be the ones asking, and a lot of times the girls end up being the ones waiting to be asked to do something, be it the dance or whatever it is. I use the story about when I wanted to play football with the boys in 4th grade and just had to leave my girls on the sidewalk with their hopscotch and jump rope, which I love to do too, but I just really wanted to play football. So I went over, asked, stood there for a while, watched, observed the game, make sure I knew what was going on, practiced in my backyard a little bit, playing some football. And then finally, when no one noticed, he was just standing there because they were just playing and having fun. One day I stepped out into the field at the beginning and said, can I play? And I think that's one of the most important lessons that we as women need to learn about is asking, can we play? Can I have a seat at the table? Can I do this? Because people aren't watching necessarily. They're not thinking about you. That, you know, we want to believe that others are so giving and aware that they will just notice us and they'll ask us to play. That's so not true. And I found that very true from 4th grade on up to right now, my career in dentistry and in consulting and speaking. I got to ask to play, and I got to ask for a seat at the table because no one's just going to tap me on the shoulder or just waiting to send me an invitation to the dance. So if you want to go to the dance and if you want to play, then you've got to ask. So that, I think that was one of the most important points I hope I can drive home to women who need to hear that. So go ask. It's worth it. And the fact that observe the game first. Observe the game, maybe even have a few friends on the team before you ask. I had a couple of buddies in the classroom I talked about, and the football analogy is that so they could speak up for me. And the same thing for whatever group or board or career you're looking into. It's knowing those people first and making those relationships. So when you do make the ask, you're in that good position that someone knows you. You've watched and you know the game, you know the field, you know the job, and you're likely to make better decisions and get those positions and get those things that you want.
Yeah, I think that we don't remind ourselves enough how important it is to ask for what you want and to be clear about it. And, part of that also stems from, I'm talking more about as you become an adult. I think it's pretty clear you wanted to play football, which was not the norm. That wasn't what girls did, was play football. It was very different from me actually when I was a child and when my kids became, into sports age. And I was so thrilled when I saw that my daughter could play on the Little League team with the boys, because that was not allowed when I was young. Only girls played on girl team, boys played on boys team. And of course that was a sport that both boys and girls played, but you were turning to a sport that girls traditionally didn't play. When I'm thinking about it from an adult perspective, I think the other key aspect of this is getting clear on what you really want. You can't ask specifically for something if you're not really clear what it is. So I think there's that period that you have to spend really sitting down and thinking through, what is it that I want?
Right. It's kind of that little nagging voice too in your head. Yeah. Or that little place in your heart, that little nagging voice in your head that, that's still there. And I can't keep ignoring it because that's, I'm a Wayne Dyer fan too. Rest his soul. But you don't let the music die inside of you. It's like you got to let the music play. And if that's what keeps playing, you got to find a way to, get the music or get the instrument you need to let that music play that's inside of you. And I've always really held myself accountable and encouraged others to in that way too, is whatever you are, whoever you are, what is it that you want to do, you can. And it doesn't matter if you're a girl, a boy, skin colors, all that. It's about what gift you have to give to the world. And let's help you give it to the world because we need it.
Oh boy, do we need it. We need to be able to come from our passion and not hide out. Be able to bring it up to the, as you say, to the surface, because anytime you're suppressing something that is an urge, a desire inside of you, a tendency that you want to express, if you say, no, I can't because, girls don't do that, or, boys don't do that. I see Vivek here. Hey, Vivek, thanks for coming on over. He said he did some embroidery while at school. Sometimes something which normally girls do. And that is true. Normally only girls do it, but I see no reason why a guy wouldn't want to do it. As a matter of fact, I think I've heard about some famous football players who knit too, Vivek. So it's a way of expressing yourself and relieving stress,
Right.
A lot of different, it's a activity for creativity. So why in heck not? I mean, that's like, my son was interested in playing with dolls. Well, so why would I discourage him from that? Say, no, boys don't play with dolls? Of course not. I'll let him play with dolls.
Maybe he wants to be a dad at some point, and it's, I think learning those roles, girls and boys learning masculine and feminine roles, we're all going to be, if that's your desire at some point, and you want to be a parent, or you're going to have nieces, you're going to have nephews, whatever it is, child rearing is a huge role in our society. So we should really know how to serve the needs of both the girls and boys. And so.
Absolutely. And my son turned out to be a great dad. He is a fantastic dad. And he has a little girl.
Awesome.
So I think, you really, hit onto something there. And so let's review again a bit about the right questions to gain the respect. I think you went deep in there. You did some wonderful quotes with Martin Luther King as one of them. I thought was just so important. It sort of goes hand in hand with what you were just saying a minute ago. And so I'd like you to share that again and a little bit more about the gaining respect aspect of questioning people. Let's dig a little deeper there.
Sure. That Martin Luther King quote was, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." And when you think about that, you truly, if you don't say it once, and then it becomes so much easier to not say it twice, and then before you know it, you never say it, and you've never risked it. And that's another big point, I think, for women is taking those risks. I go back to my team sports and things, and learning how to take risks, whether it be to steal a base or to dive for, a volleyball or something. You just learn how to take risks. And then when you have those successes and you realize, hey, I took a risk and I got what I wanted, it becomes much easier and easier. But if you don't, each time you just swallow hard and don't say anything, you don't go for the ball, you don't ask to play, then that just becomes easier and easier too. And then, like I said, that little voice inside becomes more quiet and more quiet until it is silenced. And I think that's what Martin Luther King is saying, is that, if our lives really do start to end when we silence those voices inside. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost. They don't know who they are as they mature, because they've lost their voice, and they didn't have that support, and they weren't positioned. No one encouraged them to help them get positioned to ask, because it definitely does. Those strategies, like say you have to have some support there, someone encouraging you, and someone at home maybe, or a teacher, or someone else that said, yeah, that's okay. You don't traditionally play football as girls, or you don't traditionally do embroidering as a boy. That's okay though. But if that's what you really want to do, then do it, because you want to satisfy that need inside and that gift you have inside, no matter what. And once you lose that, you start questioning that, and you fear what other people are going to think, you become silenced. And then it's really hard to dig out of that hole to gain that respect. And for yourself, the confidence in yourself to be able to then say what you want to say and ask those questions that you need, get the information and the answers to the questions you need to gain that respect at the board chair or in the job interview or whatever it is. So I really think it starts foundationally, and that's how you lead up to getting the respect that you want from others.
I love that. I think you just make such a good point. And again, we've got a quote here from Vivek saying, Seth Godin said, the riskiest thing you can do is take the safe option.
I love Seth Godin. I know, I love Seth Godin stuff. Yeah, he's got some great quotes and perfect.
And I think it's important that you give yourself permission to move out of your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone your whole life, I think that's where you're saying some of the spark in you, it diminishes, it dims. And yet every time you step just a little bit out of the edge of where you feel comfortable, you're giving yourself an opportunity to take the risk, to go to the next level, and actually end up with an exhilarating experience because you took the risk. You're never going to have those exhilarating moments if you stay safe all the time. Mm-hmm. And yet our instinct is, wouldn't you say, to stay safe, because that's self-preservation. So it's like this constant tug, this constant feeling of being pulled one way and pulled back that you really have to overcome. Just stretch a little bit more.
And I think we've all failed, and it feels bad. You mess up and your face turns red, and all the eyes are looking at you, and it doesn't feel good, and you don't want that again. So overcoming that failure, I shouldn't have said that, or that was probably not my best move. That takes a lot of grit too, to go back in and ask again. If you get shot down, or you said the wrong thing, or you failed, or you weren't perfect, someone thought that you didn't look as good as you should have that day. Those are all things that are hard to overcome because it doesn't feel good. But for the good of what is inside of you and for your purpose and your passion, that's where, drives you to overcome that and say, no one's perfect and everyone's failed, and that's okay. I'm still going to go for what I want to go for.
Oh, I mean, and what is it? Thomas Edison, how many times did he fail at, the light bulb?
Absolutely.
I mean, good God, thank God he didn't quit.
Right. And I'm sure people probably made total fun of him and thought he was crazy and just this, what a weird inventor. Anything that we're unfamiliar with, the first thing a lot of people do is put them down or shun them away because they're different. And you really do have to have thick skin. And again, I just can't thank my fourth grade buddies enough for giving me that lesson right away, and that I could play with the boys. I think there's this misnomer sometimes that oh, boys are stronger, they can hit farther, they can throw farther, they can do this. And and from a really early age, I was like, no, no, I was right there with them, and that's not really how it happens. So I think society sometimes wants us to believe that, but I never had that burden to carry. And I try to help women get over that, and men say, no, you're not any better because of this. And just because you're stronger, maybe physically, sometimes does not always equate to being better. And, there's lots of different reasons and lots of different characteristics we need in this world.
Right. Right. Do you have an idea of how you took that lesson from fourth grade and applied it in your adult life, where you really did take a risk and step out of what was the norm?
Gosh, seems like there's a lot of from God. I remember I think I was a junior in high school, and one of the things I always thought was pretty cool was that girls' state, boys' state, girls' state. It's a political arena to learn about how governance works, and I'd always wanted to go do that. I had an interest in politics at that time, and always just wanted to be able to help the world be better in a way. And so I thought that'd be really cool to be selected to go to girls' state. But I was like, I don't know if I'll ever, if I'm good enough, I'm smart enough. You go through all those reasons of why maybe you shouldn't or couldn't. But I decided to apply anyways, and I only got to be an alternate. And I was so bummed because I finally put out all that effort and only got to be an alternate. But I'll be darned if the week before one of the people didn't get sick and I got to go to girls' state. So
I love that. That's a great story.
Putting it out there, putting yourself out there. And you never know what might happen and how things shift and change. And so that you're have the opportunities to go do these things like that. And so that was one great thing in high school that happened.
Well, let's move. We've got about 5 minutes left. That is a fabulous story in and of itself. And that's how things do work out, isn't it? And if you hadn't applied, you never would have gotten it. The alternate wouldn't have, that opportunity wouldn't have happened. All right. Do you have a few more top strategies for us and how to get what you want in life and business that we didn't get on the show? And by the way, while Lisa's gathering those, if you happen to be watching this in replay mode and you want to get more of what we talked about over in the Hangouts, all you have to do is go to hmtips.com/invite. It's right here below me. And you can watch the replay because we try to continue to bring you good, valuable content on all the different platforms. So you didn't get it all here. She gave some great information over there. Just go to hmtips.com/invite and you'll be able to watch the entire replay. Okay, Lisa, any other top strategies that you want to share with us?
Probably one thing I didn't get to elaborate too much on is about this theory of acquiescing and how we get taught that. So acquiesce is basically to accept something reluctantly, but without protest. So as girls, and as a young girl, I can remember this very much, being taught that it's not polite to always ask for what we want so boldly, and we certainly wait to get asked to go to the dance unless it's like a special dance and prom and all those things. So we kind of get encultured to believe that we should be waiting and we should be acquiescing to someone else, whether it be a boy or someone older or somebody, always the polite thing to do and the ladylike thing to do and the sugar and spice and everything nice thing to do is to acquiesce. And so when we transfer that into the real world and we want a position in a whatever it is, whatever industry, profession, we tend to defer to someone else. Well, I guess they were a better applicant than me. I guess they interviewed better than me, rather than going and say, no, I really want this. I don't care who the other person is. I want this job. I am the best person for it. Instead, we'll say things like, well, if you think I'm the best person for it. And so we've learned as women, as girls, to acquiesce so much. And, when boys don't really learn that. They're like, I don't care, I want it. Whereas girls, we get taught that. And we actually get taught to fear that too, because the worst thing that can happen is if people don't like us. And we, of utmost, as girls, we should be liked. And boy, versus, to this day, it's the BITCH, and it's like, oh, not that, not the BITCH. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I've learned to be okay with, you can call me what you want to call me. I'm following my heart. I'm following that voice inside, the little music inside of me. And I don't think of it that way. I don't frame it that way, even though many people really keep wanting me to in our society. But you think about it, boys don't have that. They don't have really a consequence of that. And girls get that held over them quite a bit of, well, you want to be liked, and, well, do you want any boy to ask you to the dance? And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times we teach our girls that they should care, and that they're not going to get picked or chosen if they're not nice.
Well, it's a cultural thing, and it really goes back to ancestry when you think about the fact that was culturally the way we were raised. You're raised to be attractive so that you attract a good mate who then takes care of you. Well, it ain't that way anymore, is it? So you better get a little bolder, step out and take care of yourself, and know that you're still going to be attractive to the right person. It's not about being coy or, being so polite and perfect and all that sort of thing that you worry about. Well, if you step out and be bold, that you may not be found attractive. It's all about, to me, just being sensitive enough to know when you step forward and you be bold, and other times when you maybe are going to be more acquiescing because there's reason to be, because you're being sensitive to someone else's needs or being more understanding. All are important parts of being a human to me, and that's what it's about. We're all humans, and we take on these different roles, and roles of the past just don't necessarily make sense in modern day, at least America. And I just wanted to add again, thanks, Vivek, for all these great comments. He said, Breen Brown said that the boldest person is the one who gets bloodied in the boxing ring, but keeps rising up and standing up again. And that's true for everybody, isn't it, Lisa?
Yeah. Brene Brown, she's an amazing writer. I don't know if you've read any of her
stuff.
No,
I haven't. So I guess I pronounced it wrong.
I haven't read a ton of her things, but I just hear quotes about her, and she seems like my kind of person. And like just very progressive in her thoughts, and like to go back to what you said as far as what needs to happen is the girls need to learn to be more bold, and the boys need to learn to acquiesce, and we meet in the middle, and you need to have both skills for different situations. It's like situational leadership. You just you have to have both, and I think it's good for us to have both. And we can't expect boys to always be strong and the ones that are always making the decisions, and that culture of they're going to protect us. And we can't always expect the girls to be the ones that acquiesce and make it sure everything's nice. And so a good blend of those traits, I think, is what I always go for, and what I teach my kids too, is we need to be sensitive, and we also need to be bold.
Yeah, I agree totally. And the boldness is something that has to be practiced maybe a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Sensitive, we got that one pretty well down, I hope, anyway. Vivek, a good general chooses the battle she fights. Every battle is not worth fighting. Very good point, Vivek, because that's what I was saying about sometimes you do acquiesce. Sometimes it makes sense to step back and be a little bit more sensitive. So good points. All right. Talk a little bit about your gift for people who come and catch this in replay mode. And I am also going to put, while you're talking about that, Lisa, I'm going to put the link to the interview that we did on Hangouts and Air so they can go get the information they didn't hear here. So go ahead.
Okay, so the gift you can get from me is my gift of knowledge about dentistry and healthcare in general. How do you ask your healthcare professional the right questions to make sure you get the right one and the first time, so you're not going through dentist after dentist, or physician after physician, or nurse practitioner after nurse practitioner, to try to find the person that fits you well and is up to date and up to speed. And how can you watch them and observe them and be really prepared and an advocate for your own health. So I'm giving you a white paper, if you call it, listing off some things that you can look for and ask your healthcare professionals, so that you know that you're getting a good one, someone who is sensitive to you, listens to you, someone who allows you to ask questions, and you get have a good vibe with them, a good feeling, and know that they're competent to take care of you. It's really hard to navigate through the healthcare systems. I took care of my mom who was failing health the last few years, and I definitely realize the differences between those who are really good communicators and those who are not in our healthcare field. And it's becoming almost a necessity to get better healthcare and to get better patient outcomes. And that's what we all want. We want the best care and we want the best outcomes. So I hope this small gift of my insider knowledge will help you ask the right questions when you're trying to get the best healthcare for yourself.
Had to unmute and let them know if you do subscribe to this, that Lisa will get that information to you in about 24 hours, correct?
Correct, right. So I can try to personalize it a little bit, perhaps. Let me see how many responses we get, but I will try to personalize it if I can based on the information you give me. I think I asked one of the questions, what's your current job title or past job title or something that's in your field? And if there's something I can relate to or give you information about, I'd be glad to do that. Otherwise, you'll get some general knowledge about how to choose the right healthcare professional.
Wonderful. So here I put it on display again, her Dr. Lisa's gift you can get by going to hmtips.com/Dr. Lisa gift. Easy to remember, right? So please help spread the word. Those of you who do catch this in replay, please share it on Twitter and other places because I think the information is important. I think the information is valuable. And we will just want to get the word out. So we appreciate your being here today. Vivek, thank you for joining us again live. I'm sorry you didn't choose to come in and say hi, but we appreciate all your contributions. Great quotes there and great understanding from one of our brother entrepreneurs. We really appreciate you, Vivek. Thank you. And Lisa, I appreciate you. We'll be in touch as well. But just to say thank you to our viewers. We appreciate you taking the time. And I hope you go out and make use of this information. It is valuable information and it does apply to your life and it does apply to your business. So go ahead and take the tips that she's provided and apply them in your own life. Thank you once again, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. And I want you all to have a wonderful week. Be inspired. Go out and make it a terrific week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.